Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to recorded footage of the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 Championship from Monza at round 6 this previous weekend. I'm your host and commentator for the recording, STM_RRDZ, and yes, this is a second recording attempt, or technically a third recording attempt if we count the system breaking my system or something like that the first time. But yeah, so what happened was the first replay I got from Elliot Fagner was about 44 minutes, and then the replay just cut off. And so we're hoping that with Yure's replay here, that he has the whole 60 minutes of the replay. So other than that, so I have commentated the first 45 minutes of the race initially, which means it might not sound as good because of the fact that, it's already been commentated before, but I do not know what's happening in the last 50 minutes and how the race results are going to shape to be. So we're going to find out regardless. So at the moment, 50%. And so also another thing to note as well, I do not have qualifying results in front of me, unfortunately. I only have championship points standings after round 4, which is Dragon Trail Seaside, and I can only go off of that. So let me just share the link. And this is for any of you mad lads that are still somehow up in the Straight Line Motorsports Discord. 77%, 79%, so we are awaiting the recording. So 83%, we're nearly there, and I am excited to get back into the swing of things once again. And yes, of course, James Head did have to do Pro-Am commentary because, one, it was, in fact, my 21st birthday on Sunday, and secondly, we weren't able to, the other guys who were going to commentate live stream, they weren't able to do it, unfortunately. So I will get back into things like usual. And the race, and also a good thing too is my roommates are actually out of the house right now, so it's a good time for me to actually get caught up on this while I can. So let's get underway with it. And the replay almost being loaded. So we're about to get into the swing of things here for the race, round 6 of the Straight Line Motorsports Pro Championship here at Autodromo Nazionale Monza. And you heard that, which means we are getting closer. We are, in fact, getting closer indeed. And I do see a couple of you popping on the live stream, which is a good thing. So, Matt Finn says, woohoo. I am excited indeed. Now, on to the Straight Line Motorsports grid. Swift taking pole position with Ben L85 to follow suit. Yuri Ellie Fagner to follow next, and then Palmer and Ryra on the third row of the grid. TGIS, Hair Razor, Doug Barrow, and James Head round out the top 10 and the full grid of today's race. So, the lights are on for the start of this race, and it's green, and that's an early green indeed. And Ben L85 and Ellie Fagner not getting the best start, and Ryra, I think, had a terrific start, and Yuri as well had a terrific start. So the line, but look at the gap that sent one down the inside and not fooling around. Contact back. Yuri in the race coming into this race might have not liked that, but Ben L85, who's started this race in second, on the 4th and 9th bagger down into 6th, and look how busy it is right here. Traffic for the 64 Valley Fagner. He's going to send one down the inside of Palmer, maybe trying to get that pass. He's still alongside going to first last months, and I think Doug Barrow is going to try and think about making a move. Someone's already got a penalty. Is that TGIS? Yes, it is TGIS with the 3/10 penalty right there. And Benel 85 having to is starting to break away from the field, and I mean in the backwards position. And Benel 85 and Palmer both went wide out of second Lesbos into the gravel trap. It says iPads 11. Welcome to the late recording of the of the live stream. Actually, it's not even a live stream; it's a recording technically. Elliot Fageter getting past the German in the Toyota Supra, and Yuri and Ryrot having taken off from the rest of the pack. But look at the lead Swift has got in the leading 95 AMG GT3. Not even looking back. We'll go on board with the Brit in the Mercedes. And look at the gap now to Ryrot and Yuri that he has at the moment. And it is just going to exponentially grow. Ryrot pulling out a little ways away from Yuri. Yuri thinking about making a move to the inside. Oh, I do apologize for that. But Ryrot still holding his grudge. Is that TGIS only with 3 tenths? With a 2 tenths penalty? Yes, it is now. But all of a sudden, he's dropped back down to 10ths. That's not good news for him. He might have to serve his penalty now if he wants to try and remain close to James Head, who is also, in fact, in the new Ford Mustang. So we have not talked about this, but the new Ford Mustang has been homologated for the Straight Line Motorsports GT3 Championship at the same time as the Toyota Supra, and that's Hair Racer. And one of the Costa-sponsored Honda NSXs taking to the escape route, and unfortunately for him, has dropped himself all the way down back into 10th. And he's got a bit of work to do if he wants to try and catch back up and make for a good result. The penalty for TGIS growing back to 5 tenths of a second now, and this is not what the man in one of the BMWs wanted. Of course, his teammate now being SLM Palmer, who switched from the Mercedes, quite struggling a bit in this new BMW program after running a Mercedes for the first few races of the season, and he might follow suit to the Mustang and James Head. James Head, he's going to slow down to serve the penalties. That's a wise strategy call for the man in the number 7 Mustang. And James Head slowly coming to grips with this new platform with his first time running it, after running the Lexus RCF GT3 for a couple of races, of course. As we move further up the field, Elliot Fageter with a 5 tenths penalty, so he will have to serve that. Ben 85 with a 1 second penalty, so a little bit of track limits violations probably going on for most of these guys. Oh, and TGIS with a send of the century into the chicane on his teammate Palmer, and he's not messing around. And so the 78 BMW getting the best on his teammate in the 24. James Head potentially on the outside, Palmer on the inside. Is Palmer probably going to send one down to the inside? I think he is, and yes, he will. But TGIS slowing up. Oh, is that... Did TGIS hold up James Head? Potentially. Oh, and Hair Racer on the inside of James Head, but nothing doing there. I'm not sure if James Head was held up like TGIS was the Williams. And so I'm not sure if that was the BMW parking up in the second chicane. And Ben 85 having to withstand a lot of pressure from the Honda of Doug Barrow, but he's got a 7 tenths of a penalty. Ben 85 with a 7 tenths of a second penalty. Doug Barrow will go on board with this man on the outside, maybe. No, switch it back to the inside, maybe for the move. And Ben 85 leaving the door open drastically, so he's got to get back alongside to close it, and that is a clean overtake for Doug Barrow as he cracks in the top 5. But the top speed of the Supra giving the Honda a challenge towards the first chicane. And Yuri's going to fall to the expense of Ryrot. No! Yuri's going to pass Ryrot for second place. What a move that is into the first chicane. So that's a good move right there. And Ryrot falling another position at the expense of Elliot Fageter and the Nissan GTR. And so within a single corner alone. Ryra in the 270 Lamborghini has lost 2 positions of this motor race. And Swift with a 5/10 penalty. So what is going on for the leaders of this race? And Ryra with a 5/10 penalty. What is going on? Doug Barrow with a 5/10 penalty as well. So a lot of track limits violations going on in this race, and that is not good news right there. The 5 cars in the top 6, all with some form of penalty time-wise. The only man that does not have a penalty is this Sidemax Motorworks Audi, the number 77 of SLM Ure. So all he has to do is keep a wise eye guarded. Elliott Wagner, that's not what he needs. That might thwart him a penalty. And I'm a little surprised it has not for simply running wide. Elliott Wagner potentially showing the eye and the headlights on the Sidemax Motorworks driver. When Ure thinking about defending maybe, but look at the straight line speed difference between the Audi and the Nissan GT3. And look at the difference right here, closing up rapidly on the Audi, pulls to the inside and brakes later. What a move by Elliott Wagner. Ure is simply not responding to that one, knowing he has a penalty. Oh, and a kick of oversteer to go with it out of the first chicane for Elliott Wagner. And that right there was a clean pass for second place. Let's go back down to this battle between Ben L85 and Doug Barrow, who I assume Ben L85 has gotten by in that Toyota Supra. Oh, is Doug Barrow probably going to send one down to the inside of the chicane? Not close enough. What a good move by N95 to block that. Oh, and look at this now. James Head defending a little bit to the inside of one of the BMWs. 2x2, I think, going towards the first Lesmos. And the field going, and then these guys going in single file. Hair Razor with a 4/10 penalty. TGIS has served his time penalty. And James Head having to continue this train of like 4 cars for 7th, 8th, 9th, and dead last. So this is going to be an interesting 4-horse battle with the 2 BMWs. The Honda, oh, the Honda of Hair Razor thinking about making a move. Not close enough, but he is right along the back bumper of the BMW, or was, I should say. Going a little bit wide out of Viscari. Ben L85 pulling a bit of a gap now to Doug Barrow as these guys enter the Parabolica. The long final sweeping right-hander before going back onto the front stretch. Swift now with just under 10 minutes of this race, almost complete. Still leading this race, but still has that 5/10 penalty to serve. So that will be something to keep an eye out for. Elliott Wagner and Ure and Ryra are all closing up. The straight line speed of the Nissan GTR is definitely going to be its strongest suit all race long. And so there aren't a lot of variables at play for this race. Oh, is Ryra thinking about making a move? Not yet, but he's cleared half his penalty down to 0.2 of a second. So is the second chicane a good place potentially to clear your penalty and maybe into a couple of the braking zones? So there's the 13 of Doug Barrow in the lead. Costa-sponsored Honda NSX GT3. And he's pretty much had a consistent season all around so far in this Honda. They did trial with Acura, or not Acura, is this? Honda, Mercedes AMG GT3s at the preseason evaluation sessions. And ultimately they have gone with the Hondas. And since then, it has been an up and down program for this team. And the top, second, third, and fourth, all these guys now up at the front, starting to maintain some gaps between one another. And Elliott Wagner who is now setting the fastest lap of the race. And of course, I just wanted to check that this is the full replay. So props to Ure, SLM Ure 11, who's riding the Audi R8 LMS on your screen now. Give credit to him for the replay. Otherwise, the race would not be recorded as it would be. So thank you to Ure, of course, for letting me continue to provide so much commentated action for you guys as well. And Elliott Fagner. Something to point out as well, that Elliott Fagner is starting to close up to the lead Mercedes-AMG of Swift. Last lap for Swift, 147.9s, 147.8, and Elliott Fagner a 147.6, so he is on a hot charge now. So Elliott Fagner in pure qualifying trim, maybe, and I say maybe because one, we don't have qualifying results in front of us, and two, this is a recorded race, so nothing to spoil there. And look at that, 7/10ths down off his previous fastest lap. So Elliott Fagner is going to be on a charge for the race late here. And this straight line speed of this Nissan GT-R is going to come in clutch for this Brit right about here. But 5/10ths of a second penalty for Swift and 8/10ths of a second penalty for Elliott Fagner. And I do not think that is going to stop him right there. And look at how close Elliott Fagner is closing up rapidly to the 95. On board now with the 95, and look at the speed difference. There is no substitution right there. And Elliott Fagner simply making the move stick and the pass well before the first chicane. And all Swift can do is just sit it out and hopefully try and find his way back. And Swift too, he can be quick. And a lot of these guys can be quick, so Elliott Fagner still defending onto the inside. Well, I shouldn't say defending, just doing a good job at holding his line. And Ben 85 has really stretched that gap out from Doug Barrow, because Doug Barrow in the 48, so he's losing a lot of time now to the German Ben 85. And like I said, it has been an up and down season for this program. Oh, and Doug Barrow almost getting it sideways, but a massive save out of Lesmes too. And that right there was gonna give a heartbreak to a million people. And wow, that was a wonderful save by Doug Barrow. That could have gone a lot more worse than it did. And unfortunately for Doug Barrow, he still struggles in that car. 5/10 penalty still for Swift. And Uri has picked up a 5/10 penalty. What is going on for penalties in this race? The top 6 all with penalties, and there's only 2 cars with penalties. Harry's and James Head with penalties. The 2 BMWs of TGIS and Palmer with no penalties. What in the world is going on? And Yuri has closed up rapidly to the lead cars. Oh, and Ryra going a bit wide. And Ryra has lost out massively to the leading group here. Oh, and Elliott Fagner going to the inside to defend. Swift now is going to have to power one to the outside. He briefly grabs the lead, but Elliott Fagner breaking himself late and just keeps the lead. And that was a great move right there, but Swift's not done, and don't count out Yuri as well, as these guys are going to try and stick one up the inside of Elliott Fagner when he least expects it. And Elliott Fagner just so good and so agile in that Nissan GT-R. And do not count out Swift, and especially do not count out the Spaniard Ure. On board now with the Spaniard in the 77 Audi. And just the amount of action that this is providing here. Wait a minute. What's happened to Doug Barrow? Has Doug Barrow retired from this race? Doug Barrow, who is in 6th place, is not on the race screen anymore. Is that a technical retirement from Doug Barrow? If so, that is not good news right there for him, as he was in 6th, and now Hairbreaker being the only Honda left in this race. Oh, look at this battle right here for Ure with a massive momentum rush out of the Parabolica, and Ryra is immediately on the back of this, and don't even count out Ben 85. A 5-car battle now all of a sudden raging, and Ure has picked up the lead of this race. Elliott Fagner in 2nd now, and Swift in 3rd, Ryra in 4th, and Ben 85. These guys have caught up to the leading pack right here, and this 5-car battle is just about to get started. And they all have penalties. Ben 85 serving a bit of his penalty. So this will be an interesting game to know when to serve your penalty. Of course, and he's doing that the best he can, of course. Oh, and Ryra has gone into the wall, and unfortunately for him, has lost out massively to the leading pack once again. And I think he's collected a bit of suspension damage as well. Yeah, he's flashing Ben 85 to go on by. He's definitely picked up some damage of some sort. So that is not good news right there for the 270 Lamborghini. And unfortunately for him, it's another major setback for this driver in the Lamborghini, who's doing so well, and he's very quick on pace as well. And unfortunately for him, he's going to have a long way to go to get back up into this race. Oh, and Swift now thinking about potentially making a move onto the inside. 9/10 of a second penalty for Swift, so is there more contact made between these two cars? On board now with Swift in the 95. Nothing doing there, and interestingly, Palmer is going to come into pit this time by after 10 laps of racing. He will take new fresh rubber with Michelin's on board. And he will be released now, and he can push now in what I think is the Duchess Post M6. I hope I said that correctly. Ben L85 would correct me because he is the German. Oh, what the heck was that? There was a couple of barriers being kicked up in the foreground, and I couldn't tell who that was. So, but by looking at the damage on James Head and TGIS, it might have been those two that might have kicked up the walls. And Palmer now is going to be on a hot charge to get back up into the lead. Gary with a 150 last time by, 151 for Swift, and a 51 for Elliott. So what happened there on that lap? On lap 9. Was there a lot of moves being made between the cars? Almost 20 minutes elapsed. Who will come in? No one as of yet. Ben 85 Ryros, they're going to stay out. James Head certainly going to have to come in. TGIS and Hairraiser are, I believe, going to have to come in. Yes, James Head in. TGIS and Hairraiser all coming in. So, pit action underway. We'll go with the Mustang of James Head. And the fuel now going in the tank for each single one of these cars, and who will get the jump out of pit lane? Where is Palmer right now? He's coming across them, coming past them now, and TGIS is gonna jump. He will jump the field now, and James said, what are you doing? You don't want to be doing that. TGIS, what are you guys doing? Oh my goodness me, what are you guys doing? You guys know, importantly, that is not a spot of overtaking, especially if you're coming out of pit lane. And James Head weaving a bit, so I think he might have some suspension damage, but that right there is something you definitely don't want to do in the flash of the lights. Of course, that's pure frustration from James Head, of course. But what are you doing? That is something that is definitely going to be looked at. And oh my goodness me, that is something you, as a sim racer, can definitely not do, especially if you're trying to follow the regulations and not get a penalty. So, my oh my here, and that's benefited Hairraiser into 7th with a 6/10 of a penalty still. Ure and Spagheter will come in. However, Swift will stay out as well as penalty 5. Ryra will come in as well. The fuel going in for the Spaniard. So not a full tank entirely, but full tank for Elliott Faggoter. And for Ryra, it will be a full tank as well. So pit stops almost having commenced. Ure now trying to serve his penalty. Elliott Faggoter with a 1.5 second penalty. So we did not catch what happened during the pit stop cycle for the couple of guys on the back section of the race. Ben L85, I feel, will have to come in this time by for his first pit stop of the race in that number 8 Toyota Supra. And Swift continuing to lead on. Elliott Faggoter still with that 1.5 second penalty, which he will have to serve. Ryra has cleared his penalty so he can push as hard as he can without trying to get another track limits penalty, which they are fairly easy to do in this race. And Ben L85 will come in this time by. And so the German, will take some new Falcon rubber on that entry. And Swift still continuing to lead out, but look at the penalty, 1.4 seconds. Swift, I think, is absolutely trying to push. Ure will come across the start-finish line. Where will Ben L85 come out in direct respect? Ure has passed him, but Ben L85 with the overcut has got Elliott Faggoter and Ryra, so this has worked tremendously well for the German. And I say that, but just on Elliott Faggoter. And I think that will be a quick pass to be made for Elliott Faggoter with the straight line speed of the Nissan GT-R. Oh, he's rapidly flashing the lights. And he is not holding around. And that's something that Elliott Faggoter likes to do, because obviously Elliott likes doing it. Oh, can Ben L85 still chuck it up on the outside? What a move by Elliott Faggoter on the inside to outside. And so that's created him a momentum push to get that position. But still with a 1.3 second penalty, which he will have to serve. He will continue to monitor that, of course. Ure still with a 3/10 penalty, which he will have to serve. And so the man that has been leading this race, Swift, I believe will have to come in this time by after 25 minutes of racing. And with a 1.4 second penalty, he is going to have to try and serve that, of course. Swift now into the pits for his first stop of this race. The man who has been leading this race up and down from the start. So he's done a good job, but where will he come out into retrospect to the guys coming behind him? Ure now out of Parabolica with a comfortable margin to 3rd and 4th place right there. Swift now. Ure has beat Swift out of the gate, and Swift, despite losing to Ure, has gotten past Elliott Wagner, Ben85, and Ryra. And so with the pit stop cycle, theoretically has put Ryra and Ben85 back into the swing of things. And Palmer has grown his gap tremendously to this 3-car pack right here between James Head, Hairraiser, and TGIS. We will continue to monitor this battle. Hairraiser with a 2-touch penalty to still serve. But the lead battle at the moment is going to be an intense one because there are still penalties to be served from the top 4 of this race, and Ryra doesn't have a penalty. So this is the big story of the race. We will continue to follow. Elliott Wagner now with a 2.8 second penalty, so that penalty has grown tremendously. Now it's 3.3 seconds. What is going on for Elliott Wagner? I do understand that he's trying to maintain a close gap to the guys in front, but that's not how you want to do it if you're going to keep violating the track limits. Swift still with a 1.4 second penalty. Ure with a 3/10 penalty, so Ure can try and serve that penalty now if he chooses to. The straight line speed of the GTR going to come in clutch once again. Elliott Wagner making a move. He's going to brake late, of course, and he's going to send one down the inside. And there's contact made between the 2 drivers. But Elliott Wagner gets the move done. And that is second place right there. But Swift, he will try and fight that position back. And he's going to have to try and send one on the inside. Elliott Wagner defends to the inside, so nothing doing there as of yet. Swift's got to be a little bit brave on the brakes. He actually brakes later than the GTR, but the GTR still maintains that second position. Ben85 and Ryra. Ryra's going to send one down the inside, maybe. Oh, and what a move by Ryra! And a dive bomb. He's going to send one to the inside and a pass, but he forces Ben85 wide, and that might not have been the brightest thing in the textbook as the frustration from Ben85. The flash of light, there it goes a second time. So Ben85 might have not liked that move from Ryra as he forcibly chucked one down the inside of the second Lesmos. On board now with the Toyota Supra GT3 of Ben85. And Ben85, he's been a consistent man, basically dead center in the field. And Ryra going to defend to the inside. Oh, and a tease of the flashers go left, and Ben85 had nowhere to go. So that's a cheeky little move right there for Ryra to use the turn indicators. And the straight line speed of the Toyota Supra going to come in clutch. He's forcing Ben85 to go there. So he's reserved the line. Ryra has reserved the line, but these two are going side by side towards the first chicane. Who's going to make the move stick? And it will be, I believe, Ryra. Yes, it will be, but Ben85 with a 1/10 of a second penalty less, so he's going to quickly strip that penalty and be able to maintain an even playing field with the guy in front. 3.8 second penalty now for Elliott Wagner. So what is going on for this man right here? He's getting more time than he is trying to clear it, and that's now 4.2 second penalty right here. What is going on for Elliott Wagner in the second place Nissan GTR? This is not good news if you're Elliott Wagner. If you're Elliott Wagner, you'd be focused on trying to clear those penalties rather than trying to gain much more of it, because clearly it is killing his race strategy, and there's only less than 30 minutes of this race to go. Ben85 once again still trying to maintain some presence to the Lamborghini in front, but nothing doing as of yet. And Swift still that 1.3 second penalty. And now Yuri's got a 1.3 second penalty, so this is basically evening up the playing field. Quite a fair margin. On board now the bumper cam of Elliott Fagner. And he's just trying to get up close to the Audi R8. And he's just trying to stay as close as he can to the to the Audi R8. I do apologize. Not Nissan GTR, of course. And he's just trying to use that straight line advantage to the best that he can to be able to try and get back up to Ure, of course. Ure just still... Oh, look at those guys just hopping over the curbs. And I'm pretty sure the suspensions are pretty stiff for this course. There's not a lot of elevation change on this course, so... The only exception will be is just to the tunnel section right about here. That basically goes under the old speedway section that the Formula 1 cars used to drive here. There it is right there. So, or yes, that is it right there in the background. So, Ure going to defend a little bit slightly. He's going to go to the outside. Elliott Fagner still trying to clear that penalty. That was down to 3.9 seconds. Ryrot still maintaining a gap over Ben 85, and Ryrot is going to be in hot pursuit mode for the lead. And Elliott Fagner, is he close enough to make one mistake? Oh! He didn't make the mistake. Oh! You can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to clear that penalty and stay closely behind Ure and maintain the position in front of Swift. So, and rather interesting call for the second place person. And so Elliott Fagner is trying to serve the penalty when he can, basically. So we'll continue to monitor that. And of course, Elliott Fagner now back up to 4.1 seconds. He might have taken a bit more curb than he might have wanted. And Swift is going to be all over the back of of course, the flash of the lights. Going to try and maybe distract him a little bit. And Swift is just trying to really follow in the toe. The Mercedes very good on the brakes. And at the same time is good on its tires and its fuel especially, so the Mercedes should be the car to beat. But Ure can absolutely throw down the Nissan. That's one too many moves by Ure, so that's going to have to be looked at as well. And Elliott Fagner is going to still try and serve that penalty. So Elliott Fagner just trying to maintain the gap behind Ure despite making the many moves. Elliott Fagner decides not to pass. Oh, that's one move right there again from Ure. He's going to move back. And Elliott Fagner is trying to serve this penalty as much as he can. And the same can be said for Swift. And these guys are going to try and serve the penalty if they can. Elliott Fagner back up to 4.3 seconds, so this strategy for Elliott is not working out to his advantage, as he is just desperately trying to serve this penalty as much as he can. It goes up from 3.3 up down to 4.3 seconds now. So not good news for that. Ben 85 still trying to catch back up to Ryrot if he can. Oh, and a move made by Palmer, or no, by James Head. Oh, was there contact made by one of the the BMWs. It might have been at the expense of Palmer. James Head having to do a lot of aggressive defending work. And Palmer, I do not know what's happened to him, but all of a sudden he had a comfortable margin to the guys up front, but he's lost it drastically, and James Head going wide onto the gravel trap, but with a massive save, just like, it's like a copy-paste move of Doug Barrow, and Palmer is going to have to serve that penalty, but we will continue to monitor this battle. Of course, as I said, Elliott Bagger getting past the Audi of Ure. And Elliott Bagger with that 4.3 second penalty is trying to get away from the guys behind. Is Ure now going to try and serve this penalty if he can in that Audi? Elliott Bagger going a bit wide out of the chicane. I think he might have hit a piece of the gravel trap, and that's giving Ure back the lead of this race. So a very interesting race in the second half so far, after a very penalty-heavy one in the first half of this race. Elliott Bagger gonna try and someone down the inside. He's close, but not close enough to make a move stick. Swift's been slowly serving this penalty, which has been good for him, of course, and is going to heavily benefit him later in this race. So, Swift, with him serving the penalty now, has done a good job to get his penalty pretty much nearly cleared up. Elliott Bagger still with a 4-second penalty. It's going to lunge one down to the inside of Ascari. Later on the brakes is Elliott Bagger, but Ure is going to let him by, knowing that he has a 4-second penalty to serve. And Elliott Bagger is going to try and maintain that lead in the straight line speed of the GTR. Ure had looked into the inside. Elliott Bagger moved when Ure moved. If you're Ure now, you're going to have to watch what's in front and what's behind you, which is one of those stressful things a driver can do in motorsports. You just have to worry about the guy in front, but also the guy behind you as well. But Swift, I do not think Swift would be afraid to lunge onto the inside of Ure. And, of course, everyone maintaining the position into the chicane, first chicane once again for the start of lap 22. And so Elliott Bagger is still with a 4-second penalty. James Head, Palmer, and Hair Razor will come in for their final stops of the race. And TGIS will continue on for another lap, or 2 more laps, potentially. Hair Razor having a bit more fuel in the tank, so he's definitely saved a bit of fuel. So James Head will come out in front, and Ure in the gravel trap, and Ure's lost second place, and he's spinning the tires, and that is something not good news right there for Ure, who's been a contender for the race win. And unfortunately for him, Ryra is going to get that podium position away from Ure. And all of a sudden, Ure, who was doing so well in this race, has unfortunately lost 2 positions to Swift and to Ryra. And unfortunately for the Spaniard, I think that might be day done for him. Ure, who's one of the quickest drivers in the Pro Championship, is also very accident prone, unfortunately. So that is not good news for the Sidemax Motorworks driver. And he will be on an absolute tear to get that 3rd place back and potentially 2nd place. Elliott Bagger and Swift. And I do not, and with that incident for Ure, I do not think that this is going to benefit Elliott in the slightest of possible ways. TGIS is going to come into the pits, so for his final stop. But what's the bad news for Elliott Bagger is that since he does not have another car behind him in front of Swift, which would be Ure having that incident into the gravel trap, now all of a sudden Swift can easily pass Elliott Fagner with flying colors and have nothing to worry about. So Elliott Fagner, if he wants to serve this penalty and still try and maintain first, he's going to have to do it in the most strategic of ways with about 20 minutes of this race to go. But these guys will have another pit stop to go. Swift with a lot more fuel in the tank than Elliott Fagner will. So Elliott Fagner is going to have to come in for his final stop, presumably this time by. Maybe another lap to go if he is lucky, or feeling lucky, of course. 7/10 penalty now for Ure to serve. Ben L85 will also have to come in. Actually, the leaders of this race will all have to come in at some point. The question is, when will they, of course? So Elliott Fagner and Swift going a bit wide out of Parabolica. Elliott Fagner, he's going to make the late lunge. I'm not sure that's a penalty line cut, of course, but that's going to have to be investigated, of course. And Elliott Fagner coming into the pits with a late dive. Ryrod's going to come in as well as Ben L85. So Swift and Ure are going to stay out. Ure will especially stay out for another lap. Swift has got a lot of time to work with here, especially with that fuel tank. Elliott Fagner coming out ahead, well ahead of Ryrod and Ben L85. So Ure back up into second place, and he will have to play the strategy card to his best knowledge for this final stop. And if Ure, if he is feeling lucky, might have to play the fuel gain card to either go a little lean or a little bit more power, depending on the section of circuit. Swift doing a tremendously good job in maintaining and looking out for those tires. Elliott Fagner still with a 3.8 second penalty, and his only saving grace is that he has to get by Swift on this out lap. Swift, it has been an up and down kind of second half of this race for Elliott Fagner and for Swift. Swift will stay out and use a bit more tires. Ure, I imagine, will come into the pits this time by. Yes, he will. The Spaniard out of second place will surrender the second place position in the Side Max Motorworks car. And this right here is where the replay stopped for us. So this is all new commentary for me, of course. Elliott Fagner is going to get the overcut on Ure. Ure's still fuel going in the car. Elliott Fagner is well long gone. Elliott Fagner passing Ure flying colors. And Ure has gotten past Ryra on the pit stop cycle, and this is going to be close. Coming towards the first chicane. Ure still going to defend to the inside. Probably, and it's so close. But Ryra, just on the skin of his teeth, will get that third place position. But Ure is on fresher rubber than the Lamborghini behind. Ben L85, I feel, has secured 5th place. TGIS and Hair Ranger having their own battle for 5th. And James Head, I feel, has retired from this race because he's not on the timing screen anymore. So another retirement at the expense of James Head 14. So what has happened there? So that will be looked at as well. But Palmer, unfortunately, is going to lose a massive chunk of points in the standings. Ure now with a 1.1 second penalty, so that's not good news for the Spaniard right there. He might have cut a corner a bit more than he's intended to. Swift is going to still stay out. Elliott Fagner with a 3.8 second penalty has got to serve this penalty urgently, but I think another thing he's got to do is try and get past the Mercedes of Swift with a 0.0 second penalty, which he's going to quickly serve, I feel like. So, take a look at the standings here. Urey coming into this race as the championship leader. Palmer is second on points. Look at the points differential. 4th for Urey and 8th for Palmer. And Swift, with a race win, is only 3 points behind Palmer. So Swift, with this race win, is definitely going to take second in points, but will he capitalize on the championship lead? And that is going to be the big question here going into the late stages of this race. And without 20 minutes on this stint for Swift, and he's done an incredibly good job at looking out after these tires and after the fuel. Ryra and Urey still going at it for 3rd and 4th. Oh, and Ryra has gone wide and somehow has still kept 3rd place. And I think that was a massive crap in the pants for the Brit right there. And somehow I am surprised that he is able to keep that podium position. I thought, man, Urey must have thought that might have been 3rd place for him right there, but somehow he's able to keep that position. Swift, the race leader now, finally, after 47 minutes of racing, has come into the pits with just under 13 minutes of this race to go. And he will not need to fuel up a lot. Where is Elliott Fagner? He's about to come across the start-finish line now. And Swift. And where is Swift? And Swift is long gone. Swift. And oh, look at that gap. Swift is long gone. And unfortunately for Elliott Fagner, I think that is day done for him. And Swift might have sealed the deal right there. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, we have not had a repeat winner in this Pro Championship all season long so far. So, I'll pull the microphone over here real quickly. But Elliott Fagner, having won the first race of the season at Bathurst, then it was Swift at Suzuka, then it was Urey at Fuji, and then it was Urey's teammate K Dot, who is unfortunately not present here this weekend, as he won at Dragon Trail in a pretty hectic race. And that race featured all new podium finishers, and including Ryra. And you might be asking yourself, well, Ryra took part in the podium Pro-Am race at Fuji, and he won that race. Yes, but he was not classified for points, and he was classified as an invitational entry. And due to the performances he had in that race, he was easily promoted up to the pro category, of course. And now he's having to still defend from Urey, who has cleared up a sizable chunk of that penalty. 0.4 of a second now for Urey. Oh, and he gets to go, Urey! Oh my goodness me, Urey, who got 2 wheels off of the asphalt, a second asphalt, has lost out drastically to Ben L85, and Urey all of a sudden with about almost 10 minutes to go is going to have to push like a stabbed rat if he wants any form of maintaining the championship, because if I can find 4th place on points, so the points differential right now as it stands, 25 for the race winner and 12 for 4th, and I want to say, yes, 10 for 5th. So, as it stands right now, Urey would only get 10, which would bring him up to 74, and Swift would bring up 25. So, and that would put him 79, put Swift at 79 points, and that would put him for the race, for the championship lead of this race. And so Urey, who had held the championship lead for about 2 races, might be losing it here at Monza. So a couple simple mistakes for the Max Motorworks drivers is going to cost him dearly in this championship. Elliott Fagner has cleared his penalty, but look at the gap now to Swift. He is long gone. Swift is not going to look back for the last 10 minutes of this race in the 95. And so, oh, who's that way back there? And is that Palmer, who might have had to do a splash and dash for this race? So, major championship drama for both Ure and for Palmer, who are first and second on points. So this is going to allow Swift to potentially take a comfortable lead within the Straight Line Motorsports Pro Championship here. And I'm spitting on my monitor, which is something I don't want to do, obviously. Oh, and Palmer's just left. Palmer, the man second on points, I think has either DC'd from this race or either left on his own accord. So now there's only 7 people left in this race. Oh, and here's something interesting of note. James Head scoring below Doug Barrows, so I believe James Head might have left the race on his own accord. That will have to be followed up, I assume, but this is allowing TGIS and Hairraiser to fight for their own in 6th and 7th now, so they will gain a sizable chunk of points. Ure now all over Ben L85, and he is desperate now to try and gain some points in any way that he can late in this race. Ryrot still defending, still pacing himself along in 3rd place. And these two up at the front of the field are not looking back. And Swift has done an incredibly amazing job at withstanding a lot of pressure and juggling the penalty system, as a matter of fact, too, to get to this point. And Elliott Faggoter, I believe, with that whopping 4-second penalty that he had to clear out, I think has killed his race, unfortunately for him. I fully believe Elliott Faggoter's penalties, and I strongly believe that they were all corner cutting related, have killed his race, unfortunately for him, but it does not mean he can take a sizable chunk of points home in the 64 Nissan GTR. Oh! What has happened? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought something happened to Ure, where he lost a bit of ground. And I believe he has. So that will have to be something to take a look at from Ure's perspective. Ben L85 and Ryra probably going to have another battle here for the podium position. Can Ben L85 can one of these drivers are certainly going to score their 2nd podium of the season. So this will be great news for these guys if they're able to maintain a podium stronghold. Ure with a 3-test penalty, which he's going to try and desperately serve. Ben L85 looking to the outside for the Parabolica. Can he force one to the outside? Oh, and there's contact made. Oh, and Elliott Faggoter is going to come in for a late splash and dash. I stand corrected. He's actually going to come in for a late tire change. And I believe he's doing that just to try and buffer himself from the guys behind, because I believe he knows that they're coming. So serve the pit stop now as Ben L85 and Ryra going to go to the first chicane. Oh, and there's more contact made between the two guys, and this allowed Ure to catch back up. Ure on the inside of turn number 3, and unfortunately for Ben L85, who was fighting for a podium position, is now having to fight for Ure. And Ure is still trying to strip that penalty, of course. Ryrod doing a good job. Ure a little bit on the gravel track, which is something he doesn't want to have to do late in the race. Elliott Fageter on fresh rubber, and I think he's covered off the guys behind. And this is basically giving Swift a comfortable margin. He's got a 5 test penalty, but that's not something to worry about, as his lead is undescribably huge, of course. But this battle here for 3rd, 4th, and 5th still far from over. Two tenths of a penalty for Ure, a 10th of a penalty for Ben85. On board now with the Lamborghini of Raira. And I believe he's going to defend on the inside, but these guys are very much ahead, very much behind. But I do not think the straight line speed of the Lamborghini is not his strong suit for this race. There's the sound of Godzilla going around the Milan circuit, of course. So, and I think there's a bit of a run for Ure, of course. Oh, and Ure is closing up massively to the Toyota Supra of Ben85. And he's just served his penalty. So, Ure has just served his penalty. And Ben85 will serve the penalty, but he's checked up massively. So Raira has also got another penalty to deal with as well. Ben85. Oh, what a move by Ure going into the second Lesmos, and a wonderful move for Ure out of the second Lesmos. He used first Lesmos as a momentum push, and of course he's got back into fourth to minimize the damage on his championship lead to be compromised by Swift. And something has happened to Hair Razor, unfortunately for him, so I do not see him getting back up to TGS, who will take home 6th. Swift with a 5/10 penalty. He will get another lap, I believe, so. And Elliott Fageter will unfortunately not be getting another lap. Like a minute and a half. Yep, they will not be getting another lap. So, and these guys will have their final lap now. So it is do or die for a potential podium position recovery for Ure after putting it awry in the gravel trap. And a late braking maneuver for Ure, and look at the action. He's right up behind the Lamborghini of Raira. Ure, who is one of the few drivers in this championship who can easily force a comeback. And Ure might be looking at a potential 3rd place, maybe. Elliott Fageter and Swift doing a good job. Oh, and Ure, who's going to be completely over the back bumper, and Raira is the first one around, and Raira has gone around and out of 3rd place, and that's major drama on the final lap. And brilliant sportsman, and that's brilliant sportsman. Oh! Oh, and I do believe that was suspension damage for Raira. And I do believe Ure knew he was responsible for that incident, and he played the sportsmanlike card, and that has benefited Ben85 drastically. Swift will get another lap, I think, but no, Swift for the final time will come across the finish line, and he will take. Actually, I stand corrected. He's going to get a final lap. He's going to get another lap of this race. Elliott Fageter will come across for 2nd place, and for the 2nd time this season, he will land up on the podium. Ben85 doing a good job, and Raira will come home for 4th, and oh my goodness me, almost taking out Ure as well. And that was major drama on the final lap of this race out of the 2nd chicane. Ure, having absolute sportsmanship, knew he wasn't at fault for that, but I think that contact going into first Lesmos, I think Raira might have steered a bit too right into the corner, and I think it sent him into Uri, and I don't think that was intentional contact. I do believe so. I think that was just Ryra having a difficult time trying to control the car. TGIS 78 and here Israel will come through for 6th and 7th, and it's unfortunate for Uri, which looked to be in a comfortable position to take another win, and it went wrong so quickly for him, and unfortunately I do believe it is going to give the championship lead to this man. He has not put a foot wrong all race long. He's had his ups and he's had his downs, but in the end he was able to recover it through, and we will see a repeat winner for the first time this season. He's come out of the parabolic for the final time, and coming across the start finish line for one last time, it will be Swift in the 95 Mercedes AMG GT3 who takes the win, of course. And then, of course, right at the end, the replay does end. But, what a race that was. That was some major drama at the end of that race. Of course, this was a pre-recording, and I certainly did not expect any of that. So, of course, coming this weekend will be Mazda's at... If I could find them... If I could find them... Where is it? Mazda MX-5 Cup results this weekend for Mazdas. We will be at the Red Bull Ring, so do not miss the action here. And on the Straight Line Motorsports YouTube channel, I'm your host and commentator for today's recorded race, SLM_RRDZ. I do appreciate Uri once again for giving me the full race replay so I can be able to commentate it, of course. And, of course, I do appreciate everyone for the support, of course, for allowing me to do the media and commentating role for Straight Line Motorsports. I'm extremely grateful for it. And another final thank you for James Hood, who was able to take my position for the Pro-Am commentary, of course. I'll say it now. Happy 21st birthday to myself. I just had to take the time to wish myself that. But until next time, folks, which will be about, let's say about less than 2 days' time, we will be back for Mazda commentary for the Straight Line Motorsports Mazda MX-5 Cup Championship. And until next time, folks, I've been your host and commentator for today's recording, SLM_RRDZ, and I will see you guys next time.